Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone. It's super late at night, but we've got a gigantic episode for you. We have one of the best decks in the game created by our friend Safetyblade. In fact, all three of our decks today are created by our good friends. We've got a deck from Minh and a deck from Dougpie also. We've got to look at the roadmap. We've got three freaking bundle reviews for you. Everything you need for Marvel Snap is here for you today. Please hit that sub button, hit that like, hit that comment, ring that notification bell. We bring you Marvel Snap content 7 days a week here on this channel. One day it's on the Marvel Snaps on YouTube, 3 decks a day, and everything else you could possibly need. It's completely free for you to support us by hitting that sub button, so please do so. We are about 250 away from 8,000 subs. Let's go. Help us get there. We're trying to get to 10K. Help us get to the next step, which is 8K 250. Be one of those people. Thank you. Next up, we keep a giveaway sheet active, which is fundamentally a sheet that has every active giveaway in Marvel Snap. Our friend Banshee maintains it for us. It's in the description to every video. You can find great content and win some cool free stuff. If you're still looking for a season pass, look there. But we're also going to have another season pass giveaway coming real soon on this channel. Our outline for the day. We've got our questions of the day, 3 of them. Then we've got the roadmap, a giant look at that. Then we're going to talk about our friend Dougpie's deck. Dougpie is amazing. Check him out on Twitch. Then we're going to bundle guide for Take Flight Sauron, Cherry Blossoms, and Ice in the Veins. Then we've got Minh's deck. Minh is on Twitch, is Rito_in_disguise. Check out Rito. Again, super cool person, friend of the show. We've got weekend mission decks. We've got 6 specific decks for weekend missions for you, so that you should be able to complete them basically with varying collection levels, with varying decks and play styles. And then we've got the busted deck of the day. I played this deck and it was just like, oh, this is completely gross. We've got another deck from Safetyblade. Safetyblade is a genius deck builder. Check him out on Twitch or on Twitter. On Twitter, he's Safetyblade with an _HS. And then we're going to look at my shop and do some shout outs. Cool. Let's get started with the questions. Robert Rivern wants to know how you can tell if a deck you're being shown is a good one. There's no way. Fundamentally, there's no way. You have to play it, or you have to trust the person who has played it. And certain decks will be good for different people. This is a thing I like to tell people in the videos all the time, in the comments all the time. Like, Quinny will post a deck, and some people are like, this deck is terrible. And then like a bunch of other people are like, oh, I've got a 75% win rate. That's fine. Different decks and different playstyles work for different people. Learn what yours is. Learn what kinds of cards go in the decks that you like, what kinds of playstyles are supported by the decks you like, and you should be able to use that to judge better which decks will be good for you and not. But there's no sure way to know without playing it or really, really trusting the person who has. Also, someone, and I don't remember who, said, hey, you do these turn-by-turn guides. What do you do if you can't hit your turn-by-turn? Do you just retreat? And no. That's not what the turn-by-turn guides are. The turn-by-turn guides are like an ideal play order. They're meant to give you structure that you're working toward. They're not meant to, like, directly guide, this is the only thing you can do. The goal of them is to give you a baseline for how to play the deck so that you can hit a baseline of competency with it. And hopefully you can grow from there with your own particular style and how to play. Gunny T, our friend, happy birthday, Gunny, says, between Selene and Loki, where would you like to see a season pass card in power level? So, Selene being like the weakest card and Loki being the strongest card since Selene wasn't a season pass card. I'm going to use Scar and Black Swan to talk about this. So there are certain season pass cards. There's Loki, there's Elsa, there's Original Surfer, there's Zabu, and there's Ms. Marvel. Those are the S tier. Those all, to some extent or another, broke Marvel Snap. They broke some fundamental rule and were too good. They just aren't healthy. I don't want to see that kind of season pass card. Like ever. That's not necessary. That's not healthy. Don't do it. There's a tier below. There's 2 cards right now that are definitely in that tier below for me. They are Nebula and Hitmonkey. These are cards that can be broken, they can be great, but they require outside support. They need other things to come together in the meta for them to be really, really good. So, So, with that said, those decks, those cards are where I want the season pass level. I want season pass cards that need support, that demand support, but when that support's there, are really strong. That's where I think Scar lands. I think Scar is the third card in that second tier of Season Pass card. He's as bad as he's ever going to be this week when everyone's playing him, everyone's testing him, everyone knows what he does, everyone's messing with him, right? Because you know to play Mobius, you know how to answer him, you know what to do, and everyone is also jamming that kind of big power. He will never be this week again, I don't think. I mean, I guess there's probably some metas where he'll be this week, but they're not likely to be the regular meta. If he's still performing at a reasonably high level in this meta, then he's going to be a good card. Plus, cost reduction always ends up breaking eventually, excuse me. And we know that like giant 10, 11 power cards end up being good, right? Like She-Hulk, if they get cheaper. Even as a 4/11, stop trying to make him a 0/11, please. Even as a 4/11, that's like a top end Darkhawk that you get for playing another high powered card. That's great. I think that he's a great card. Again, he's never going to be worse than he is this week, so I think he's great. People have mentioned him in comparison to next month's Season Pass. If you can only get one, get next month's Season Pass. That's fine. He's, by the way, way better than Shaw. But next month's Season Pass, as far as data mines have told us, is Black Swan, who's a 2/3 on reveal. Next turn, your one cost cards cost 0. That's gonna bust cards like Hit Monkey and Werewolf by Night, if that releases as is, right? So that's going to be on our broken tier in all likelihood. If we're lucky, it'll be the tier below where Scar is, which is healthy for the game. A positive value card that you should definitely be buying. Good question, Gunny. Dwight Kidd asks my favorite part of being a teacher. And it's just the relationships. Kids trust me with things that are important to them, and I try and live up to that as best I can every day. One of my favorite things happened, I guess, like a week or two ago. A kid looked up at me and went, "Never thought I'd actually be close to a teacher." Like, oh, well, that's nice, right? Like that kind of thing is my favorite. The relationships formed, the bonds. I have kids that I know I'll talk to for the rest of my life. One of my patrons is sort of a former student, never actually in my class, but like, since when does that stop him? So I genuinely love it. And my favorite part is the bonds. If you'd like your question read out in tomorrow's video, just leave one in the comments. Priority answers are for Patreon, so please feel free to check out our Patreon, patreon.com/snapjudgments. We've got our roadmap. All right. Character mastery, album improvements, in-game events, selectable card effects, selectable borders, new infinity splits, and collectible reactions. We're going to talk about all of those coming soon. It means that they'll be out in the next 2 to 3 months usually. Hell, some could come out this coming patch on Tuesday. In development are Clans 1.0, collectible borders, booster vats, more event types, and in-game graveyards. I don't know how much I care about the in development, so like let's just jam them quickly. Clans are great. Hey, spoiler, I'm gonna be forced to start a clan. My Discord has already told me so. So if you'd like to be in that clan, feel free to sound off in the comments. That's cool. Collectible borders are fine, I guess. I don't really care. Booster vats just seem like a way to charge us for varying amounts of boosters. Let's see. More event types will be great. We'll talk about that when we get to some other stuff. And then in-game graveyard means you can actually see what's killed and discarded. I'm for it. That seems like a basic thing. And then in concept, I don't actually believe that any of this is going to happen. They change this stuff all the time. Half of these change so completely that like they're totally gone by the time. And we're going to talk about clans more, so chill. But like new game mode, I hope for draft, and then I've got another one that I talk about on the podcast that's releasing this Saturday that I actually am going to pitch to Second Dinner because I think it would be really cool. We'll talk about that at a later date. I got to keep you coming back, right, folks? We got new game boards, again, fine, whatever. Clan competitions, ultimate variant evolution, and new card mechanics. New card mechanics seems cool. Let's do that. All right, what are album improvements? More and easier to complete albums, varying in size. Cool. Parent albums for artists with many variants, like hips, and then more ways to collect emotes. I like it. I'm for all of these. These seem simple and beneficial, right? Albums are generally whale bait, but maybe they won't just be whale bait at this point. I like them in that they're long-term goals for those that want them. They are ways to get the player base to part with more of their money. Ultimately, I'm fine with that. As long like I'm much more okay with this than with them releasing Caiera without releasing another way to get more spotlight caches or tokens. I think I'd rather them monetize variants and prey on my and others' lack of self-control in that way than make me pay to compete in the game. Selectable effects and borders are fundamentally, you can choose the border on your card. Once you've split it, or even I guess even before you split it, if you want to have your whatever If you get a split you like and you want to keep it with a gold variant instead of the infinity border, you can. Just I keep everything with gold, right? Cool, great, thank you. That means you can just keep splitting cards over and over again, knowing that your previous splits and borders are saved. And that's great. I'm for it. We'll eventually have collectible borders that will include even further customization. That seems like it could be cool, but I'm going to wait till I find out more before I have any real opinion. For the time being, I like that I can choose my border. I think that's good. It lets me split things more freely, as right now, I tend to not split things freely because I want to keep everything gold, so I have to wait. I don't have to do that anymore. I'm all for it. In-game events are events that will rotate and evolve with feedback from the community. First one is leagues. It sounds like it's going to be time driven. You have an hour a day week to gain as many cues as you can with players of a similar collection level and skill level. Other digital CCGs have done this before. Magic has rolling events all the time. This seems fine. It doesn't seem like it's going to be a requirement. It seems like it's a fun thing. I have a feeling this is just going to be on ladder, which is going to be a little bit annoying. It's going to be gain as many as you can on ladder. I wish it was like its own separate mode where like they would just install a mode that was league mode and you would go in and get whatever the challenge is for the time. But I guess I'm fine with this. Like, I don't know if I have time to fully engage with it, but it seems like it's fun. Character mastery is okay. So you get mastery for collecting cosmetics for certain characters, and that's going to give you brand new splits and exclusive rewards. Think like things like emojis, and like the next slide has those. Cool. So we'll talk about that in a second. As your mastery goes, you're going to unlock brand new cosmetic type reactions. That's these. So if you get enough mastery, and the first way to get mastery is again owning multiple variants, you're gonna get reactions. I'm gonna have a bunch of reactions by accident because I play a lot and spend a lot, right? I was checking, I have 5 Nebula variants, and I've bought one. And I have I guess I technically bought two because one came with the season pass, right? And I have 4 Hawkeye variants, and I've never bought a Hawkeye variant. So like that's just a thing that's gonna happen in Snap sometimes, where you're just gonna like get a bunch of variants for a card, and then you're gonna have mastery. Look, I've got like 3 Quicksilvers for no freaking reason. It's not a card I play. So okay, cool. Like as long as it's not like have 6 variants, 8 variants for a card, that's fine. As your master, you will get mastery milestones, which are going to give you unique tasks to complete with certain characters. Like if you get a bunch of Deadpools, you can eventually get Deadpool to over 100 power, and these are going to earn you border splits or currencies. And I think that's cool. And it gives us like some new content to farm, especially Twitch streamers who can be like, we're going to go for the Deadpool mastery today, and get everyone to go, yay, and watch. I think that's pretty cool. I'm perfectly happy to do some guides, probably on the Patreon, maybe here and there, here as like between video things for like how to complete mastery for various things. I don't know. This seems fun and not so bad. Again, this is another way to get people to buy more variants, but again, I'm fine with them monetizing cosmetics all they freaking want to. These are the what are they called? Reactions that they're talking about. You when you react to cards, I assume. This will be what you can use. So okay, cool. I want the goose one. So hopefully it's not Jeff because I definitely only have one Jeff variant. It's the hip, and I don't want more. But I have like 5 goose variants just because I bought one of them. The others all just happened. But I have an orange kitty. You've perhaps seen him on video. He pops up every now and then. I would be very, very happy to have an orange kitty reaction to cards. Even if that's not something I usually use, orange kitties are the best. Sorry, don't at me. I don't really care about most of these, but again, like they're cool extra stuff. I'm down for cool extra stuff that's not a requirement. Other important stats, clans are eventually coming in clan competitions. Clans will be groups. They'll probably get a new name because clans don't feel very Marvel-y. Maybe team affiliation. Uh, you join a group and your group has X amount of time to probably like weekend missions or like your daily missions. As a group, it'll just be a larger number, and you as a group have to complete that task, and that seems totally fine by me. It gets people to play the game more, which I'm fine with. But if you have decent sized groups, that shouldn't be terrible. I do hope that the clans are big enough that you don't have to leave people out, right? Like I don't want to have to like be like, oh, the first 12 members of my Discord. That would be shitty. But ultimately, okay. I don't love booster vats, and then we'll talk about new game mode sometime soon. All good. The next slide is going to be the first deck. Before we get there, I told you all today that we were going to do the deck from the thing you voted on Wednesday's video. It was going to be a Quake deck, a Punisher deck, a Quake Punisher, Mr. Negative, and then the fourth one now escapes me. whatever it is. It was you voted on Wednesday's video, and I was gonna pick one. I'm gonna be honest. I recorded the podcast for 3 hours tonight, and it was my dad's birthday. I didn't have time to count the votes, so that'll be Sunday's video. I'm really sorry. I promise you, you're not gonna miss out. The decks are gonna be great, and you're still gonna get that same deck you would have today on Sunday. Cool. All right. This is our homie Dougpie's Infinite deck. I love it. It's a nice, simple Ms. Marvel Infinite deck, but it runs Caiera. Why does it run Caiera? Because it's got 3 1-drops and 3 6-drops. Nice and simple. This deck is significantly better now than it was last week, and it was always one of the best decks in Snap. Nebula here is unfreaking believable. Nebula plus Caiera is fantastic. Nebula has always been close to one of the better cards in Snap, and now it is a truly, truly fantastic card. You basically want to do the whole thing where you go Cyclops or Magic on 3/4. 5 is honestly usually Enchantress or Caiera at this point, which is again going to trigger Cyclops, Sunspot, Misty. Pass turn 6, and then She-Hulk and Hulk, or She-Hulk and Infinite on turn 7. And then you win because you just drop 30-ish power on turn 7, while also getting all the triggers from Cyclops, Misty, Sunspot, and so on. This deck's great. Dougpie had Infinite with it with fair ease. He is a great player, and again, like one of the best Twitch streamers to hang out with. Friend of mine personally. All right, replacements. Caiera can be armor just fine. You need Evo, obviously it's an Evo deck, and Nebula can be armor, Mobius, or Scorpion just fine. Cool. All right, day 1 Infinites. Enchantress as needed. Enchantress isn't going to be on the play pattern, just Enchantress if they drop something that looks like a good target. So turn 1 is Nebula is better than Sunspot, which is equal to Misty. Turn 2, same as 1, although Nebula is, I guess, more close to equal later. Turn 3, Cyclops is better than Magic, is better than Caiera, is better than Cosmo. Turn 4 and 5 are the exact same thing. So like this is the simplest deck to play in the world, right? It's worth noting that you need to get Magic out. So like Magic goes up the priority chart the later you go. Magic on turn 5 tends to be better than Magic on turn 3, just as a rule. They might have just wasted their location destruction, especially if it's something like Thanos deck. And if it is a Thanos deck, please put Cosmo on your limbo if possible. Turn 6 pass. Turn 7 She-Hulk and Infinite or Hulk. Win game. Good. All right. Quick look at this deck. Let's take a quick look at the variants. You might notice I have no hips here. Something must be up. Excuse me, I have 1 hip here because I only have 1 high evolutionary. So I got this Nebula in the Spotlight today. I now have 2 Spotlight Nebulas. Lucky me. I decided to throw the 4th of July Misty with the 4th of July Cyclops because, well, again, you'll see why in one moment. We've got this really cool Infinite. I believe this is Flaviano. I could be wrong. We've got the Rian Cosmo. It's great. The Hulk we got for basically joining the game. The Peach She-Hulk. And the cool Hot Tub Sunspot. Oh, and Sylvie for Enchantress. Because, again, why not? This felt like the greenest Enchantress outside of the Jacinto. And I didn't want to use the Jacinto. So here we are. All right, so this is not my favorite version of the deck. I took a look at this deck and said, here are a few changes I would like to make were I playing this deck. These are the changes I would make. See all the hips now? Look at all the hips now. I accidentally put the wrong Hulk in, but like too bad. So I think that Mobius is generally better than Cosmo, although again, you were taking that Reality Stone risk, but Scar is everywhere right now, and so are Sarah and Zabu nonsense. So being able to Mobius, I think is better than Cosmo right now. And instead, to protect my nonsense, I put Leech-In over Enchantress. So I think this is the version I would play of the deck. I just wanted to highlight another version. They are so similar. It's just a different way to do it. And this one has the variants I like because this is the one that I would build. Cool. Glad. All right. Take flight, Sauron. Please don't buy this. You hear me? Don't buy this. 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 This bundle's value is about even to a Token Tuesday, which means it is genuinely too low for a bundle in Marvel Snap. Do not buy it. Thank you. Cherry Blossoms is a decent deal. If you need this Psylocke, it's a really nice piece of art. It's a good amount of credits. It's an okay amount of gold. This is good value. If you want this, please feel free to grab it. By the way, you will not see this in the game. This is on the Newverse shop. So basically go to marvelsnap.com and then hit the shop button. And this is an exclusive there. 217.3 progress value is great. And this is a really, really good Psylocke. I have a hip, so I don't need it. I also have a hip for this Iceman, but this I'm buying because 230 progression value is completely nuts. $15 for 2,000 gold is great. for 500 credits is great. Do I care about this Iceman? No, I do not. I have a hip. However, 2,000 gold, 500 credits, I'm there. This is must buy. This is about as good of a deal as you get in Marvel Snap. Not the very best, but close enough to be one of the best deals. So if you're going to spend money, again, nothing touches the season pass ever, ever, ever. The season pass is the best value possible. Good, but short of the season pass, if you're spending extra money, this is better than that bundle in the shop right now. The whatchamacallit, when I bought the oh my god, I don't remember what it was. The one that's, I promise you, it's in the shop all month. That bundle. This is significantly better value for $5 more. Cool. Get it, please. Show them that this is what we want. This is our friend Min. I called it Minfinite. Get it? Because I'm clever. This is a very cool. We're gonna call this a location control deck. Basically what I want to do is use Jean to mess with your opponent. A lot of opponents are playing one card a turn right now because they're doing giant She-Hulk big people shit. So you play Nebula in one location, Craven in another, and then you play Jean, and then you just win. They're stuck playing in that location. You are able to get in and out of that location thanks to Jeff and Silk. You're able to get power in other locations thanks to Ms. Marvel. You've got Vision, and then you choose how to win the game between Alioth, Doom, and Magneto. That's it. That's the whole deck. It's phenomenal. You really, really, really want to get Nebula, Craven. You'll settle for like another card, and Jean out early. You will do that anywhere up to turn 4 to just get those specific cards out. If you're not seeing one of the pieces by turn 4, that's what Iron Lad is for. All good? Needs Jean, Ms. Marvel, and Alioth. There's no like exceptions for that. Sorry. Nico or Jeff can be Nightcrawler or Echo. I particularly am fond of Echo here, but I know she's expensive for at least until she series drops in a few days. Iron Lad is fine as Jubilee or Shang. Again, you're looking for key cards, so Jubilee does a lot of that job. And if they're going to stack all their big stuff in the middle, then all of a sudden Shang-Chi is pretty damn good. Although obviously be wary of Caiera. Silk or Jeff can be Rogue. I think Rogue would be really solid here for much the same reason that Echo is. If you Jean in the middle and you want a Jean in the middle, they're very likely to Ms. Marvel there. And suddenly, Rogue is amazing. Day 1 Infinite. Nico, much like Enchantress in the previous deck, is just a card you play when it fits. So turn 1, Nebula blind right, as a general rule. Turn 2, Craven left, where you can see if it's a playable location. That's better than Jeff mid, or Silk, and who cares where Silk goes? Silk goes wherever the hell Silk wants. Turn 3 is Jean, and if not Jean, you're going to go with your turn 2 plays. Turn 4 is Ms. Marvel, unless you miss Jean, then you're going to Lad. Turn 5 is Vision, and again, you can play a 3 and a 2 here, or 2 2s here. And turn 6 is Alioth, Doom, or Magneto. And then you win. Again, nice and simple, right? If you get Jean down and you can tell they're not playing a lot of cards and they can't just immediately counter it, you should probably snap. You're going to win. Variant talk time. Nebula, Jeff, Ms. Marvel, Iron Lad, Vision, Alioth, Magneto, 7 hips, good number. We've also got a couple of variant pairs here, which is a thing I like to do. We've got Midnight Suns for Nico and Jean. I love that Jean. Oh, wait, is that Midnight Suns Jean? In my head, that's a Midnight Suns Jean. I could easily be wrong. Whatever. And then we've got Venomized for Craven and Silk. The only thing that doesn't have a friend here is Emperor Doom, because he's the Emperor and he don't need no friends. We've got weekend mission decks. These don't come with full guides. These are just different ways you can complete the weekend missions. All of these decks have at least a 65% win rate on Marvel Snap Zone and or Untapped. Cool. So we've got 2 Scar decks, 2 Caiera decks, 2 decks with both. And then the last deck, the one I've been hyping up all video, is a Caiera deck. First, we have Destroy Scar. This deck seems so cool. I'm not the biggest Destroy fan in the world, but this basically is a standard-ass Destroy list that says, instead of Deathlock, I'm going to run Scar. It'll be a little less consistent because you're running Scar over Deathlock, but, like, you'll be fine. If you can get a big Deadpool and a big Venom out early, which is not hard, you can easily end up with a 2-cost Scar, and at that point, you can play Scar and Death together. You can also fairly often get Death out by 5 in these cases and then go Null and Scar on the last turn. This deck seems really cool. It would not shock me to see this have a larger place in the meta because Null is still one of the biggest things you can do. In a deck like this, Null can be huge. Also, I'm not 1,000% sure Nico shouldn't be Deathlock, but good enough. This again has a super high win rate. Low sample size. It's early for these cards. This is in the like 100-ish games range. Next up, we have a Thanos version for each. This is the Thanos Scar list. This is really good. Um, Thanos has the highest win rate with like all these cards. Thanos is phenomenal right now. Thanos Lockjaw in particular. So this deck is just like, hey, I play Lockjaw and I smash you. It could also, the other play pattern it has is Psylocke or Timestone on 4 to get a big 6 out early. And then you just play another 6 and win. Cool. If that works, that works. Lockjaw can make your Scar super cheap. Missing turns can make She-Hulk super cheap, so can the extra energy. Vision is just phenomenal to pop out of Lockjaw, as is Jeff. This deck's real good. This is like one of the best blob decks in the game. This one is a little more dangerous than the Caiera versions because of you can get shonged, but a lot of that is made up for in that how do I put this? That you're putting so much power on so many locations that like if they can shong one, you're usually not in like too much trouble. Caiera's first deck, I decided to throw the Thanoses together. See the difference? They're fairly similar decks. This one uses more. This one is again a Lockjaw build. Ironically, though it's running Caiera, it runs fewer 6s. It's got Devil Dino because Devil Dino can on 5 as a play make Caiera cheaper. You'll note no Psylocke here. Leech isn't something you traditionally play unless you're way ahead in one location because then you can Leech and Blob to win the game. Leech is something to pop out of Lockjaw that you're just happy does. If you can go something good pops out of Lockjaw on turn 4, right? And then on turn 5 you can drop a Devil Dino. On turn 6, guess what? That's a 2 cost. Scar's not in this, silly brain. That would be a 2 cost Scar, but Scar's not in this. So instead, you've just got Wave to Blob early or whatever else you need. This is really good. Wave is also something good to come out of Lockjaw, and it gives you a really strong play of Thanos or Magneto early if you have to wave on 3 or 4. Very good deck. I like this one better than this one, just for the record. It's also got a slightly higher win rate and a slightly larger sample, although nothing here is crazy different than the other. This is our Black Knight Caiera deck. Again, Caiera does not necessarily Black Knight does not necessarily need Scar. It goes in a lot of those decks, but like it feels greedy and it's not doing quite enough unless that deck is also running Ms. Marvel. And I'm trying not to give you just a million Ms. Marvel decks every day. This has a ton of power potential and a really high win percentage. Your danger here is magic. If you're bold and willing to run when they snap on your magic, then you should be fine because, well, Black Knight is a little bit busted right now. And if you can, what Caiera does here is if you can like Caiera on 3, and then you can if you can Sif or Blade, get rid of something basically, and then you can get Caiera out before you Ghost Rider back your Giganto, your Infinite, your She-Hulk. They're Shang proof, and that's awesome. Also, keeping your Black Knight safe from opposing Killmongers is pretty freaking good. Being able to play it in like a Death's Domain often wins the game. So there's a lot to like here. You have the extra turn to make sure you can pull off your combo pieces. It also lets you do the magic skip 5, She-Hulk, and Infinite 6, because that's stupidly powerful too. All right, this is both of these cards. This is not a Lockjaw deck. This is a ramp deck. You are using, you have to make a decision here. You are using Psylocke on 3 or 4. If you're using it on 3, you're using it to Professor X, Vision, or Devil Dino. If you're using it on 4, Psylocke or Timestone. You're using it to cheat out one of the giant cards. Either which way is fine. If you cheat out a Devil Dino, congrats, you're at the 4 cost Scar. Cool. Nice and simple, right? Nothing here is terribly complicated. If you're at a 4 cost Scar, then you can spend your turn 5 playing Scar and a Stone, which is often very good. And then turn 6 is supposed to be Blob where possible. Or Shang, I guess, is fine. Yeah, it's a really powerful deck. Again, I like this a little less than the Lockjaw versions. I think Scar is great in Thanos, but I think that the meta is ready to answer Scar's benefits right now where it's not ready for the rest of it. So I like the Caiera Lockjaw the best, but this is a really good deck. And this is the best Thanos Professor X right now, I think. If that's a deck type you really like, play this version. One more deck with both. This one is so cool. It's another Black Knight deck. I'm really sorry. I told you to get Black Knight last week. If you watch the videos, I've been yelling at you to get Black Knight literally all week. I spent all week being like, get Black Knight, get Black Knight, get Black Knight. By the end of the week, it's in like the number 1 or 2 deck in the game, and everyone's like, so hopefully you got it. Um, Scars, again, extra stats here for when you do something like, um, okay, so you can often end up getting a blade out along with a Ghost Rider back that big thing. So Caiera is going to protect the big thing you Ghost Rider back. Then you have a blade. Then you have a 2-cost Scar. And 2-cost Scar is good because you have Shang-Chi in the deck. That's fundamentally it. You got Shang-Chi and a 2-cost Scar, then you're probably going to win. You can also just, once you've discarded a bunch of stuff, including Scar, which is pretty damn big, Hela will win you the game fairly often too. I like this style of deck a lot. It's got a slightly lower win rate, but a slightly higher cube rate than the others. So don't feel bad if you're not winning as much with it. You should be able to claim an awful lot of cubes. Also, be careful of Black Knight in decks that run Black Cat. You do not want a 9 power Ebony Blade. You would like it to be at least an 11, but preferably a 14 or 20 for that Ebony Blade. So try and save Black Knight until you know Black Cat is gone or until you know you have a discard. All right, this is the deck we have to talk about because we'll talk about the win rate for this later, but this deck I think might be a problem. I played this for a little bit and I was like, oh shit. So the win rate for this is through the roof. The cube rate's a little low because like people just run quickly. It's a ramp deck. You get Caiera and then on 4 you Electro or Wave and then you blob and then you either Taskmaster or Tribunal. And then you've won. That's it. That's the whole deck. It's completely freaking ridiculous. Uh, because of the play pattern I just described, you can also Psylocke on turn 4 to get exactly what you want. If you're going to Tribunal, please feel free to, if you think they don't have Enchantress, please feel free to drop Tribunal prior to dropping Blob and just enjoy. Cool? It's gross. It's gross, gross, gross. You can wave Tribunal too for some priority shenanigans, and then you can drop Blob later. It's fine. Blob early tends to be better than Blob late because there's more stuff in the deck. If there's more stuff in the deck and some of that stuff costs 20 or 14 or 12 or whatever, then it's pretty good. Armor is extra protection for when you don't care. You just don't want your Blob to get killed, or your Magneto or Gigantor or Infinite, whatever. Sunspot, just you pass a lot. Sometimes you don't see cards and you just pass, and Sunspot's good. Cool. Blob and Tribunal must have. You can try Cosmo for Caiera. It's way worse, but you can try it. So this has a 69% in 470 games on Marvel Snap Zone, and then a 72% another 100 games on Untapped. And I'm not a mathematician, so in my thumbnail I just made that 70%. But in 570 games, the 70% win rate is completely stupid. Like the 70% win rate is usually something you have in like 100 games, and the larger sample evens it out, and you get to steal cubes before people know what you're doing. But if we're in 570 games and we're still at a 70% win rate, this deck might be a problem. This is the kind of deck that ends up getting shit adjusted. So you should really, really play this deck. Yes, I put it at the end on purpose. Sorry. Turn 1, Sunspot. Turn 2, Sunspot or Armor. Turn 3, if you can, Caiera. Armor is fine. Turn 4, Wave or Electro or Psylocke. Turn 5, Blob or Tribunal. Turn 6, Taskmaster or Tribunal Blob. You will always know when to run with this deck, or almost always. You can, please play this with a deck tracker, or just keep track of the math manually. If you can do so, you're going to win a bajillion cubes. Cool. This deck is disgusting. Our friend Gunny T has a version of this too. Happy birthday again, Gunny. All right. So we've got Sunspot Hip, my lovely, beautiful new Psylocke Hip, Wave Hip, Blob Hip, Tribunal Hip, Giganto Hip, Magneto Hip, Infinite Hip, 8 hip deck. You love to see it. I felt like the Lucha Taskmaster fit in well with the hip, so I used it. This is the only Electro I have that I like. It feels the most Electro of the Electros. Best armor, only armor I have, as always. And Caiera does not have variants outside of the Spotlight yet, which is completely obnoxious, but what you gonna do? I'll eventually get a Caiera variant when they actually release some into the game. Alright, my shop today was poop. It was a bunch of Venomized stuff that I don't like. I guess it was only two Venomized things. But I have 2 good Vipers. I don't need Venomized. I have my favorite Thanos. I don't need that because I'm definitely getting the Infinity Gauntlet Thanos when it comes out next month. I don't hate this Nico. There's just like a Nico that's data mine that I like an awful lot more. I have Hip for Sif, so I don't need Peach. I have, I'm getting, again, Jack Kirby Galactus is coming out this month, so I have to have that. There's also, I have Hip Galactus and I have Lifebringer Galactus. I'm all Galactused out. I don't buy pixels for Deadpool. I have Hip for Jubilee. I have both the Hellfire Gallop that they gave us for the last month's season pass for Professor X and Baby, which is freaking adorable. So I don't need 90s. Also, Professor X is a huge jerk. So whatever. I did open a random variant the other day and I got Chibi Darkhawk, which is cute because I also have Chibi Korg and Chibi Rockslide. So I'm never going to put them in a deck because I don't actually like Chibi art that much. But look, I have Chibi friends. All right, I'd like to thank our patrons. We've got Models, our buddy from the Discord. Check out the Marvel Snap Zone Discord and hit us up. Pretty Chill, another friend from the Discord. Thor Newman, who is a wonderful YouTuber and Twitch streamer now. Check him out. Ink, No Flex, Mandatory Burnout, another of our Twitch friends. Matt Conduit 23, Joshua Apodaca, Caretix Lee, Mikey Hijinks, Rob Silverman, Matt H, The Hella Lover, Robert River, Abigail Giesland, Direwolf, Ocularis, my former student, Louis, JD McDonaldino, who's like a top 100 player in the game, and of course, Min, Rito in Disguise, whose deck we just looked at. Thanks so much for watching. Play all these decks. I think they're all extremely powerful, extremely unexpected, and are going to print cubes right now. I think that third deck is completely freaking busted. I know that that sounds hyperbolic. I'm not being hyperbolic. The thumbnails are hyperbolic. I'm very rarely hyperbolic in the videos themselves. Play that deck. You won't be sad. Hit that sub button, hit that like, hit that comment. If you're interested in supporting the show a little bit more, we've got all sorts of exclusive stuff over on the Patreon. Check it out at patreon.com/snapjudgments. We appreciate the support. I gotta work in the morning and it's super late now. Peace.